Hello.
I haven't been to the microphone. Damn it.
Hey, do you like your toys?
I like my toys, yes. If you ask my wife, we have too many toys in my house. It's like a warehouse of toys. Toys.
You just need a lot of space for that sort of stuff.
I need a warehouse. Actually, on that note, can I start storing my stuff at your house?
In the roof, maybe, yeah.
I've already done that. I think I've taken up half your roof up there with my audio proofing stuff.
Oh, you did too?
Yeah, you haven't been up there, obviously, for a while.
Episode number?
46.
Welcome to Seeking Focus, a podcast that provides photographers and videographers with a place to critically compare technology, share ideas, and enhance their skills.
Oh, bro, it's I bought this new toy, and
Hang on a sec. What about the week? How's your week been?
yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Okay.
explain. I've been playing with this new toy, and
That the new toy that I'm pointing at in the background?
yeah, it's big toy.
Okay.
It's a very expensive toy too.
Are we allowed to tell people how much it was, or is this going to get back to your wife and you're going to...
She doesn't listen to my podcast, which is a really good thing. But
That's what I said about my wife, and then she asked me a question about what I spoke about. So there you go. You better be careful.
Yeah.
Don't disclose too much.
No, yeah, and look, we're going to talk about it. So if you want to know how much it is, you can just jump onto
Your tail
the
between your legs.
the
There you
DJI
go.
website.
He is not disclosing it. There you go.
And,
He's afraid.
you can
He's
have a
afraid.
look.
He is afraid of the
Right.
wifey.
I'll probably mention it sometime, but
So that's what the episode's about today. But other than that, did you do anything exciting during the week?
Have I done anything exciting during the week? I've been really freaking busy this week, actually. And you know what? I don't understand how this works because, like last episode we spoke, and I had literally no work for I've only had standard sort of my work, so nothing really major for about 2 weeks, which was great. Don't get me wrong. I've managed to catch up with the MVF group, so Melbourne Video Freelancers group.
Yes, which I missed out on.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
And, we sort of had a couple of beers and, we chatted and, normally I am flat out, so I don't have time to go. So, but, we caught up with Constantine, I caught up with Joel, and I caught up with a few other guys, which was fantastic. And you know what, we're sharing work as well. So, one of the other guys just rang me this morning actually, and he goes, hey, can you just do this FPV job for me? Which was excellent, you know what I mean? So things are looking up again, which is great. But it's just been, everything sort of, nothing's happening. And I don't know about you, but all of a sudden you're getting 10 jobs at once and you kind of go, hang on, people, couldn't you ring me last week to freaking give me that work rather than ringing me this week? So therefore I'm I've got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day and then going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So it's just what the hell's going on? But anyway, that's my thing.
No, I don't have that problem. I'm very different to you in the sense that I have taken a lot less work, and I'm very selective about what I take on. So people ring me up and they're like, "Hey, could you do this job?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, look, I can't really. I'm sorry, but I do know someone else," and I handball it to someone else. So I do that a lot, and obviously they're photo jobs, so you've got no interest in them. That's why you haven't heard from me. But I did do an awesome wedding, and I was able to sort of hand pick another wedding. I know.
Okay.
And this time around, I was actually not a guest. I was working. So
that's a good thing.
As opposed to the previous one where I was a guest, but I ended up working anyway. And a big hi to Chad and his beautiful wife, who I actually had the pleasure of shooting. It was great. It was low key. It was boutique, as I'd like to call it.
Nice.
And there was one funny thing that happened was they were taking a break where, the couple went back to get changed into their room, and I was hanging out with the guests, how's it going? How you keeping? You're super cool. I'm cool. Everyone's cool. And then one of the guests turns around and goes, "Man, you've got balls of steel."
You?
Now, yeah, I've got balls of steel.
I know you got big balls, but I don't know about steel.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting in this weird position. But I looked at it, but I went, "Yeah, I do. How did you know?" But I'm married. I've got kids. But the question was why would he say that to me at a wedding? I looked at him and I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I was taken a little bit aback. I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, shooting another photographer's wedding."
Oh.
Suddenly the brakes. What?
So you didn't know that this guy was
I
a
did not
photographer?
know that.
Wow.
Chad did not tell me that he was a photographer.
Wow.
And, you know, I'm fantastic at what I do, so I don't stress at all. But hearing that the other person is a photographer, suddenly, you know, like you're like, oh my God, I'm panic mode. Oh, how do I get out of this room? Where's the exit? You know, where's the exit? It's weird when you find out that you're actually, you know, taking photos of another photographer's wedding, because there's a certain level or standard.
Oh, for sure.
You know, because I mean, you can't just palm off your mobile phone photos and go, here's your photos, mate. Yeah, she's a beauty. You need to actually provide something that's worthwhile. And they're going to compare it to their own style. And if they're a professional photographer who I found that had done lots of weddings in past, you sort of think, well, he's obviously got a standard that he expects the quality of the work to 100%. Be at. Yeah. My own personal wedding, and I've mentioned this a couple of times in previous episodes, the photographer stood us up, and we ended up he brought in his assistant who literally the quality was just atrocious. We actually did not get a single photo from our wedding. Yeah. That's how bad they were. We just refused to pay for them. So that put a lot of pressure on me. Yeah. And I was like, oh, geez. You know, so I didn't panic, but I mean, it does put a lot of pressure on you to hear that.
But you did it.
I did it. And then Chad was like, you know, wow, these are great, fantastic, you know, lots of photos.
Did you give him rolls then, or did you just edit all the images and just give it to him? Or
No. The whole, I mean, you don't want to sit there and edit well, some people want to edit their own photos for their wedding, which is kind of weird, and I've had that before where people said, I just want raws, and you're like, well. Yeah. But no, he just wanted them edited. You know, he wanted to be able to enjoy his life and not worry about editing photos, and he just wanted to come back on his honeymoon and look, there's photos, I'm sending them out to everyone, they're done. Yeah. And, you know, and then when they're high quality, like the type of stuff that I do, blowing my own trumpet, you know, so he was happy with them. You know, he was even left me a positive review online. I was like, oh yeah. So I was pretty impressed with that. But yeah, it was weird knowing that I'm taking photos of someone else who's a photographer for their wedding.
I think that would be how can I say, without giving you a big head, you know, like scratching your head like out here.
I normally do that anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, obviously, because he obviously saw your work and he thought, you know, hey, this is really good to be able to get Evan in, to be able to, the standard of work is obviously very high, so therefore, hey, why not?
Yeah,
which is great.
It's actually funny because remember the previous wedding I was a guest at and ended up taking photos. Yeah. I saw some of the photos that came out from the pros who were using, ironically, Sony's.
There we go.
And
did you actually see the finals? Did you?
I saw some of them. I didn't see them all. I have to say, I felt a little bit disappointed. Yeah. You know, and I mean, I've only seen a handful of them, so there could be a lot more there.
Sony does have an auto mode as well, so if they switch up to auto mode, mate, you know, it's not going to be too good.
Yeah, look, as much crap as I give Sony users and stuff like that, there's a difference between a good quality photo, regardless of what camera you use, and post-production and a bit of effort put into it. And the ones that I saw, I was just looking at them going, these have not been edited.
Average.
The tones weren't enhanced. Everything was really washed out, you know. Right. And Sony naturally does have those blue colors, so that didn't help. So it was a bit of a weird one to actually see those, especially considering how much they were paid, how many people were there.
Oh, for sure.
And they were very professional. I mean, they were very, very pleasant people to be around. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird one.
There you go. I can't really comment too much. I don't do weddings, so.
Yes, we've established that. But you know, how many weddings have I done recently where I end up being a guest and taking photos? It's happened so many times recently.
Yeah, no, I can't believe you're not saying no to that. But that's, you know, each to their own.
Yeah, I probably should. Anyway, so let's get back onto the track with Yeah.
So I've been saving for this for a while now, and this particular unit came out about a year and a half ago.
Yes. Are we allowed to know the name of it?
Yeah, sure. It's a DJI Inspire 3.
So I meant, you know, you've obviously got a pet name for it, like Sally or Steve or...
No,
just call it DJI. Just Inspire. All right. Yeah. That's it.
Pretty boring, I know. Yeah, so it is a DJI Inspire 3. So DJI Inspire 3 is a fairly big drone, as you probably know. And the takeoff weight on a DJI website actually says 4.3 kilos, which is quite high. Yet saying that, though, I haven't actually weighed it. I should probably weigh it to double check it. But it costs a pretty penny, as you probably can imagine.
Can I put some background into this?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a few weeks now. I get this phone call from Marty, and he's sounding overly excited. He's like, drone.
Yeah, something like that.
And I was just like, yeah, you've got a drone. How many more drones have you got? Like, I've never heard him sound so excited when he rang me up. And like, I'm thinking, this is really weird. He's like, you've got to come and try it out. You've got to see what it's amazing. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking, I've seen like 18 of your drones are all the same. There's nothing different about. Anyway, so we organised to meet at a local property near my house, where there's this huge
Local park.
Yeah, it's like this huge complex behind it. This old antique building, which silos, and it's a really cool place to do some drone flying.
Yep.
So he rings me up. He goes, "I'm gonna come down, meet me there." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, cool thing. What the hell?" So I get my dog and I cruise down to have a look, And I get there, and as I'm walking down the park, I see this guy dragging a suitcase through the...
It's a big-ass suitcase as well,
big-ass suitcase, dragging it across the oval, which is like a huge grass patch. Right?
Yeah.
We've got a few homeless people who live in the area. I'm thinking it's one of the homeless people dragging their belongings behind them.
Yeah.
Because, they looked a little bit crazy and stuff, and there's this giant suitcase, and they're dragging it across, and I'm looking at him like, my God, what's happened to this neighbourhood? And then I look a bit closer and I'm thinking, hang on a sec, that's Marty.
Yep, that was me.
So you're dragging this giant suitcase over the grass and stuff, and the wheels, they really needed to put bigger wheels on this suitcase. And it
is a big suitcase. I think the suitcase alone with the whole thing inside weighs about 10 plus kilos.
It's like one of those giant suitcases you see at the airport with people traveling.
And you know what? It's one of those drones where you watch the reviews, and I mean, I've watched obviously a fair bit of reviews on YouTube and then read about it and this and that. I understand what I'm buying, and I know what I'm buying because I'm spending shitloads of money on this thing, right? But it's sort of, you kind of don't know what you're buying until you sort of buy it, if that makes sense, because you kind of go, you can't really, like, you can still hire it, but then you kind of go, it's so expensive, you're kind of scared to hire it, and I don't know, it's just, to me, I hate flying someone else's drone, you know what I mean? I have to have my own to be able to fly it. So therefore, I had to purchase it to be able to do it. And this thing is fantastic in one way, and it's just horrible in another.
Okay, let me finish the story. So I've seen you dragging it down this oval. I'm thinking it's a homeless person. I realise it's Marty. I walk up to him. He's opening up the lid. He's pulling out this. He's pulling out that. I'm looking at him going, what the hell is this? It's like setting up. It almost looked like he was setting up a table. There's all these legs, and I'm like sitting there. My dog's looking at you like, what the hell's this? And you're just like foaming at the mouth. You're so excited. You're like a little kid.
Yeah,
I have never seen you this excited.
Cool unit.
Anyway, so he puts it all together, and like I'm standing back just watching it because I'm not a drone person. I've got a DJI Micro 3 or something, Mini 3 there. Don't even know its name. That's how much I use it. But I'm not a drone person. I've got no interest in drones whatsoever. And I'm just watching him, and I'm like, oh, here we go. God, it's going to be one of those days. But he puts it together, and this thing is huge. It is like, I'm looking at it going, that's not a drone. That's like a coffee table. And that's when all the action started, right? So Marty's like foaming at the mouth. He's excited. He's jumping up and down. And he's like a prepubescent little child, like, and he basically starts it up and he takes off. And at that point, he had my full attention. This inspired me. Like, I just saw it take off, and I was just like, oh my God. Yeah. This is not a drone. This is a battle cruiser. Yeah, it is. I felt like I was in a scene from Star Wars. This thing is so massive.
And the sound it makes.
You can feel the vibrations from the blades. The blades are like huge.
Very low humming sound almost, isn't it?
Yeah, and it took off, and my mouth just dropped. Even the dog started barking like psycho, thinking, oh my God, I've got to. It's running on the lead, trying to get away from it and stuff. It was inspiring. That's the only way of it. That name suits it.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. No, it does. So.
The early Inspires were like, whatever, there's a little drone. But this thing here, it's monstrous.
It is, yeah.
Sorry, and that's the
and look, it's fantastic. And I think, like I said, you have to be able to fly it for more than once to be able to understand the magnitude of it, almost. I mean, on the show, I had Joel he's got one of those as well, and he sort of really sort of talked it up, and fantastic drone and everything else. But what we sort of didn't really discuss was a couple of things that you kind of need to be able to make it this amazing drone, which is already amazing, don't get me wrong, but it's just a couple of things that it's kind of missing. Do you know what I mean? And comparing, so I've got a Mavic 3, the very first one, and believe it or not, that Mavic 3 has got a lot more features, not in the video component or photography component, but a lot more features overall as a drone, more features than that Inspire 3. And I was kind of going, cool, I understand.
But look, this comes back to the original question. Is there a purpose to this drone compared to the Mavic 3?
Yeah, and I knew that when I was purchasing it.
So what is the purpose of this drone?
So the purpose of this drone is be very cinematic and high resolution. So this drone, when you purchase it at the initial price, comes with 3 sets of batteries. So it's, in order to be able to fly this drone, you need 2 batteries. So essentially comes with 6 batteries. So the batteries are rated for about 25 odd minutes, which he says, she says kind of thing. And also it's mainly, so the resolution on the gimbal, on the camera itself, is 8K. So you can shoot it at 8K up to 75 frames per second.
No, we on the day we were trying to get that up to 8Ks, and we were struggling, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no. So you have to purchase something on top. You need to buy the
so you got to buy
for it.
A license to be able to use your equipment.
So, like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I understand the people that buy this drone. It's a big production companies, and it's a very how can I say? You're not going to be looking at budgets if you're purchasing these drones, put it that way.
Yeah, well, I think it's worth more than my car, so...
yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always wanted it. I've been saving it for a while, and look, I am getting into that pro, how can I say, prosumer? Pro level, and I'm hoping to get bigger type of clients with this particular drone. Because, I mean, the Mavic 3 can essentially do what this can and more. You know what I mean? But from a video perspective, from a photography perspective, this is business from a resolution perspective. You know what I mean? You do have a full frame sensor on this, so you can shoot it. You know, like it's you can have 360 degrees, where the advertising is 360, but in fact it's actually about 320 or 330 degrees view. So, all right, let me step back a little bit. So when you take off this drone, the legs, the standing go up, so the camera can move 360 degrees. Mm-hmm. So you can actually track a subject, and you have a unobstructed view of everything with the camera, right? Which is fantastic. Now, the problem is, as soon as you start moving the camera around, you only get to about 330 to 340 degrees. You're not actually getting the full 360 degrees, so you can't actually spin it right around. Do you know what I mean? That makes sense? So that's kind of already first thing that I kind of go,
But if you had a wide-angle lens on that, then technically the field of view would be 360, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you like, if I'm tracking a subject... Mm-hmm. And I need to be able to fly right around it and be able to track it. So if I'm flying right around it and tracking it at the same time, I can't just keep going at 360 degrees. I can't keep on spinning the camera.
Yeah, so it's not infinite.
Yeah, it's not infinite. Yep. It only gets to a certain point.
And then you got to...
And then you have to go back and then start again, essentially, right? So that was my first thing. And a lot of people are going to probably think, oh, this guy's just talking shit about, Inspire 3, which is like the amazing... business thing. But yeah, I kind of wanted to be able to point out certain things that when you're purchasing this drone, a lot of YouTubers and whoever else don't actually talk about this, you know what I mean? Which, it's, So the 360 degree thing was a big thing for me. I kind of was a bit disappointed in it. But, it's still pretty cool.
No, it is. But I understand
Yeah.
where you're coming from, because I mean, if it's being sold with, you buy it with an intention in mind, especially if you actually needed to do that 360
Yeah.
and continuous 360, it would be a kick in the teeth, especially at
Yeah.
the price range.
Yeah.
But so I just wanted to take a step back, if it's possible. You mentioned you have to buy additional licenses or something?
Yeah, so you have to buy a raw license for it. So Inspire 3 raw license in order to be able to get that 8K 75 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a raw license that you have to potentially purchase. Now
I've never heard of that. You buy something
it is. For DJI, for some reason it is. I think it's actually from Blackmagic too, isn't it? Isn't it for Blackmagic that you have to purchase
not
a
that I
raw
know
license?
Of. No, not that I know of. But
there was something I can't remember now.
Maybe the 12, but I've never bothered with 12K. But
Yeah.
But no, I've never heard of that. It's like, let's buy a new car. Oh, you want to use the accelerator? You've got to pay extra for that.
Yeah. So look, so this new raw license, or the raw license for this particular drone, is at almost $1,600. You know what I mean?
And is that per year?
No, I think it's a one-off thing, as far as I know.
That's a little bit sneaky. Was there any mention of that at all on the advertising? Or
look, I think I knew how to purchase it. I didn't.
So suddenly it's dropped the price.
So the thing is though, if I'm shooting with it, so you can still shoot in the log, but then I didn't actually know, which I probably should have done more research, but I was just way too excited with this drone.
Yes, you were.
So where I thought you can still shoot in log 8K at 75 frames per second, and no, you cannot.
So, and 75, wasn't it meant to be 120 frames per second?
No, so it's 75.
Oh, okay.
Max, and then you can't shoot that 75 frames per second at 8K without that raw.
So what's the best you're going to get straight from factory without paying additional 22 grand?
50.
It's
Which
reasonable.
is good, yeah.
It's reasonable.
It's reasonable.
Unless you're going crazy. I mean, what do you think? 75?
I should probably, yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, so I'm going motorbike jumping show, for instance, right? So I want to be able to send the drone up and get the motorbikes that are doing flips and doing whatever else at really high frame rate, right? So slow it down.
That's actually very fast with it.
Correct. Yeah. So that's why. So I thought, you know what? I should be able to use it, but no, I have to purchase it, and I will have to purchase it. I don't have a choice.
You can borrow my Mini 3 if you want.
Thanks. Yeah, maybe I've got a Mini 3 too. So
yeah, I think that does 120 frames per second, doesn't it?
I don't know, but so it's really so you have to purchase it. So that's another $1,600. Now, where this drone shines in a lot of ways, and I knew that you need a second controller, so you have to buy a second controller. So the controller that you see, it is a DJI RC Plus, right?
And for the people who can't see this is like this giant.
It's a 7-inch.
Yeah, it's
screen,
huge.
Yeah. So it's got all the extra bits and pieces on it. Yeah, antennas
massive.
and then output. So you can output HDMI, you can do a hot swap batteries, and
But I have to ask, when I first saw this, you did have the second controller, didn't you?
I did. So let me sort of explain a little bit more.
So, but it's not there anymore. So something.
No. So what actually happened is, so from people that are listening to the show, I do obviously are heavy into drones. So one of the drones that I use for solar inspections and just overall roof inspections that I do, I have the Matrice. So I've got the M30T, which is a thermal drone, and it has exactly the same controller. So when I was purchasing this Inspire 3, I go, hey, I already got one of those controllers. I should be able to just link it to this new Inspire 3 controller, and ta-da! I'll go to controllers that I can control. So I'm not going to be flying both drones at once. So therefore, I can use that controller for the Inspire 3.
Which DJI does anyway, because on their smaller controllers, you can actually choose which drone you want. So
correct.
Yeah.
So now,
let me guess, you have to pay another $2,000 for a license.
When we are getting into a prosumer level drones, they don't allow that. And I was like, what the hell? So therefore, this my Matrice controller, which is hardware-wise, is exactly the same. It looks exactly the same. Inside's got exactly the same. It has different firmware on it. So therefore, you can control it. So for me to be able to use that controller, I have to re-upload new firmware to use it with Inspire 3. But then I won't be able to use it with my Matrice, with my M30T. Do you know what I mean? So therefore, now I have to go back and essentially buy a new controller again to be able to have a 2-user interface for that particular unit.
So am I allowed to ask how much the new controller is?
Yeah, of course you can. It's $2,500.
So we're already at $4,000 to be able to get this to do what it says
close.
on the brochure.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. So as much as it's great, like you would think that, and the thing is, it doesn't tell you anywhere, like on none of the YouTubers or, anywhere on their websites, it says it will not work with RC Plus, so DJI RC Plus from a Matrice with the Matrice software installed on the controller on the Inspire 3. I couldn't find anywhere. And I was digging, and then I've contacted the people that I purchased the drone from. I said, hey, I've got this M30T controller. It's exactly the same thing. Why can't I link it to the Inspire 3? And they go, well, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to purchase a new controller. Do you know what I mean? So that's another thing that was kind of very disappointing in a sense, you know what I mean?
So this is what I'm taking away from this. I've just gone and bought myself a new car, and I get it delivered. It's got wheel clamps on it, and it takes a special type of petrol that no one sells.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but no one told me that. Yeah. It's like I bought a car which I can't use. All right, cool. Thank you.
So and I mean, this thing is freaking amazing. I love flying it, and it feels like you're flying a tank almost, you know what I mean? Because it's such a huge machine. It handles wonderfully. It's got 2 cameras on it. It is pro.
And I'm going to add, when you said big, let me just explain to people how big it is. It is so big that normally when you're flying a drone, birds attack the drone, thinking it's another bird, and that they're trying to scare it away and stuff. We took this flying past a nest, which just every time you go past with a drone, it just gets attacked by hundreds of birds. Not a single bird went near it. They were all scared shitless of this drone. It was that big. It was scary. They were running. They were hiding. They were under
something like that.
It was. I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm like, no, Marty, don't fly it up there. The birds. There's no birds. Where the hell are the birds gone? It was.
So look,
scary.
essentially, it's a bit of a disappointing thing. You know what I mean? Because you think that you have the hardware already, yet DJI is saying no. You can't use this hardware. You have to buy the same hardware, but with different software. It's just like, seriously, mate, you know what I mean? When you've got a Mavic 3 Mini or whatever else, you just select the model that you want to connect to. Boom, you connect to it. Yes, it's the pro thing. That's where it is, you know what I mean? It's a prosumer thing rather than being consumer.
So far there's been 2 negatives, right? What's the third negative? Because I'm waiting for a third.
Yeah. So
there is a third. Okay, cool. And I'm guessing
there is a little bit more. Yeah. And look, I knew about this because I knew that you have to. It's a interchangeable lenses, right? So you've got essentially 4 or 5 different lenses that you can interchange to.
And for the record, the camera on the bottom of this drone looks like a Blackmagic Micro with the interchangeable massive lenses. When I saw it, I was like, why have you got a Blackmagic stuck to the bottom of this drone? That's how big it is. So keep going, please.
Yeah. So it is a big sensor camera / I mean, look, a lot of tech going into this. Yeah, like we're talking about this thing's got RTK, so it's a remote real-time kinematic, which is you can make the same shot over and over and over again, day and night. Like it will fly exactly in the same thing. You have to buy a base station for that. The base station for that is about $5,000, which I knew about that, which is cool.
That's about $9,000 now.
Yeah, so so now with the lenses,
with the lenses, I was going to say, is it a Canon EF lens?
No. So it's a how can I say it? Proprietary DJI lens. I think it's the DL or the something, a PL lens. I can't remember now.
And there's a cost of these lenses.
Yeah, so it's between $2,500 each lens. Do you know what I mean? Which that's the thing. So it comes from 18, 24, 35, 50 and 75 mil, right?
So that's another 10 to 15 grand in lenses. Does it come with a lens when you buy the thing? Or do you
no.
Oh, okay. So any lens.
So I bought the 35 mil.
So it's so we're about 13,000 now. Extra.
Just on the lens, yeah.
On accessories.
At least, minimum.
To get it to work to the standard that
Correct.
we thought. Okay.
Yeah. So therefore, so like, look, you can, those lenses are fantastic. I mean, they're fantastic, I mean, when I purchased the drone, I was talking to the guy and he goes, hey, I've got a refurbished lens, so I can give that to you for a significant discount, which is great. Loved it, and I understand if you've got a big company that you're writing all this off on, which I'm going to try it obviously as well because I'm running a company as well. However, I'm small guy compared to what, like bigger, production companies are and their budgets are and everything else. So look, I was talking to the guy and I said, look, I need this. So he helped me out a little bit because it's essentially my initial big buy from a drone perspective. I purchased the drones for $5,000, but compared to this, it's not $5,000 is nothing. It's literally drop in the ocean. So look, so you got your lenses, which are two. You got 5 different lenses that you can purchase, and like I've got the 35mm on it now, and I must say it is pretty close. So on the Mavic, the standard lens is 24mm. And 35mm, I thought it was going to be okay. It is fairly close, which is kind of good and bad at the same time. It is a 2.8mm lens, sorry, f2.8. I did purchase a ND filter for it as well because I think it's a 46mm ND filter. So I've purchased a ND filter for it to be able to get the correct exposures and everything else. Unfortunately, with this particular unit, you do need those ND filters. You know what I mean?
Well, let me guess. Before you can use the ND filters, you've got to buy a license to be able to use ND filters.
No. Saying that though, you have to because it's a gimbal essentially. So you got to make sure you balance it correctly as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when you purchase, say the 70, I'm not sure about the 50, but I'm pretty sure with the 75mm lens, when you purchase it, you have to. I think it comes with it. I'm pretty sure it comes with it. 99% sure it comes with it. It's a weight at the back. You know what I mean? So you have to change the weight so it balances the whole. Counterweight.
Sorry, does it being that you've got such a wide range of lenses and they're interchangeable and they all have to be balanced? Does it remember the lens? So, say for example, I put a 24 on, then I put a 50 on. Will it actually recognize it and adjust to accommodate?
No, so you have to change the counterweight. Manually.
So you've got to manually, okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
a bit of a
you have
bummer.
to screw it in as well. I think it comes with a Allen key screw thingy, majiggy. So don't quote me on that because I don't have one of those. So I'm just
because
still
that's an
figuring it
extra $6,000.
Oh yeah, potentially it is. Yeah. So look, the disappointing part with the batteries, I guess, you do get 3 batteries, so essentially 6 batteries because you can't run the whole drone on one single battery. So the batteries don't last very long. And talking about charger and everything else, it's quite disappointing that the charger alone only has one USB-C point. So essentially you can only charge one controller at a time. And so if now this drone is designed to have 2 controllers, so now if you're running low on the power on the other remote controller and you're charging one already, then the issue is you have to bring an extra power bank to be able to charge that second controller as well. So the controller only comes with one USB-C connector for only charging single controller. To charging also the batteries, it's quite fiddly to put them into, and it's quite disappointing that like with the Mavic 3, batteries essentially slide in and then click in. Where this one here, you got to fiddle it, and then it's not easy to actually put on charge. You know what I mean?
The question is, and this is one of the questions that I did pose on the day when I saw it. So it's got twin batteries, and why do you think that it has twin batteries? Well,
the reason for that is when you need to change the batteries and you have remembering settings, so like your RTK. So if you need to set up a base station for it, so real-time kinematic station which connects to the very precise GPS signal, you don't have to reprogram the unit. Do you know what I mean? So essentially you change one battery at a time, so you don't have to power cycle the unit itself. You know what I mean? So you change one battery at a time where the power stays on, and you can take off again and keep shooting or whatever you need to be shooting.
Which makes sense, but my initial reaction was you need 2 batteries in case one goes flat, so the secondary kicks in.
No,
so you don't have
so
this.
It draws power from both batteries at exactly the same
because
current.
My thinking was you wouldn't want this to drop out of the sky from 120 meters.
No, well,
this would take a car roof in, and kill people instantaneously.
Oh, definitely, and that's the thing. With this particular drone, it doesn't matter if you use it for a commercial or non-commercial purposes, you still need to be licensed.
Yeah, it's just like it's a flying bathtub.
Yeah, so look, I've got my Repul and Rioc, which is Part 107 in the States, but in Australia we sort of go to that sort of higher level where I have to have an insurance on it, I have to have certain paperwork to be able to fly this thing regardless, you know what I mean? So, which I have, and that's why I thought, this is going to be a good stepping stone to be able to get to that pro level production that I can offer to my clients and deal with bigger productions and essentially charge them more money for it because this thing is through the roof itself, you know what I mean?
I think what you should do, and I think this is probably a very good business model, so when you find a client who needs a job, you give them a quote, say $1,000 for the shoot, right? Which obviously is not going to be the right price, but just say $1,000. So when you actually do take the shoot and they say to you, "Where's the footage?" You go, "Oh no, well you need a license for me to release the footage." That's an extra $500 for you to see the footage.
That's right.
So just follow the DJI model and just charge everyone for everything.
Yeah. So well, you know what? It's a beast of a thing. So what I want to talk about as well also is a bit of software, right? So a lot of people have the Mavic Minis and Mavic 3s, and on those you actually have tons of features. So when you're doing photography, you can do 360 panos, which I do a fair bit. When you switch to, say, video, you can do a master class thing or whatever it is, which you can select a point on the screen, and this thing will basically do its way. With this, it does not have any of those features.
Yeah, but that's
purely...
Yeah, but that sort of goes back to the film, like the
standard manual focus kind of thing.
Manual focus,
yeah.
Which cinematic videos, that sort of thing. It goes back to relying on you to do it. Yeah. And the consumer grade stuff is for brain-bitted people like me. They're like, button.
Yeah, well, look, but when you're spending so much money on it, you think that it will have same, if not more features.
But that's because, as a pro, you don't want to be limited by shitty little features like 360s and spirals like us brain-dead people do. Yeah, you want to be able to use your creative genius.
I understand, exactly, and totally, like this drone, like the image on it is phenomenal. Like we're talking about, it's fantastic. You know what I mean?
You sent me some of that footage, and I was playing around with it, and I think it was only 4K the footage that you sent me. I think it was 8K. Because you weren't able to record 8K, were you?
No, I can still record at 8K, but only up to frame rate.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies.
Not as high as frame
so
rate.
I was able to zoom in. I think I zoomed into about 20% of the picture, and it was still sharper than my Mini 3.
Like I'm telling you, like
it was great.
The sensor on this thing is just amazing, you know what I mean? And the fact that it is a dual controller. Well, when you buy this with the second controller, one person can literally just focus on flying and dodge trees and whatever else, and the second person still have that full control over the camera and track that moving car at 100 k's an hour. You know what I mean? Because the top speed on this is like 96 kilometers an hour without any sensors in the sports mode. So what you can do with it, it's far more than what you can do with your Mavic series drone, but you need a lot more, I guess, skill.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, licensing. Number three, there's so many. It's like almost like stepping from a Canon, how can I say, 550D to a full Blackmagic. You know what I mean?
It's a
cinema grade camera. You know what I mean? It's from that sort of. You're still going to get an great image from that 550D, but the image out of that Blackmagic is just going to be boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the thing was, I actually, when you first told me about I can control the camera while you control the drone, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really exciting. First thing I questioned was, do I need to also have a license to control the camera, which I don't believe I do.
No, just the person that actually flies the drone and needs that particular license. Well, to be able to, I mean, you can buy the drone without a license, but you know, if you get busted, you can get fined.
And let's be honest, you wouldn't want to be flying something like this without a license and insurance, because this thing's scary. But so just the level of coordination between the person flying and the person filming, just to sort of say, this is the type of shot I want. So, you need to know what I'm filming so that you can fly in the direction that I want, so that I can film what I want. And I need to... So the communication there between the two people is crazy.
And that's another thing too. So I've got headsets, which are, I think, Bluetooth or whatever else, but... we don't have to scream at each other. We don't need to be close to each other. We have headsets that we can talk to each other. If the person that's obviously framing the shot, they say, "Hey, all right, start going higher or start going right or left," so I can be able to, get that right shot. And it's a dual operation, so that two people have to think as one and communicate as one, essentially.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, and that's what I mean. Like it's almost to a point where it's scary to fly it and scary to use it, because you're flying 30,000 plus unit, and you don't want to make any mistakes.
So when you say 30,000, you're referring to dollars, or Oh, you just disclosed the price.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? It's crazy. You know what I mean? With all the accessories and licenses and everything else, this thing is off its head. Yeah.
Look, I'm not a drone person. I mean, I fly a little bit and stuff like that, but it did inspire me. Like I said earlier on, it's a cliche, but it was just, I'm actually looking forward to actually taking this for a spin. Not me spinning it, but doing the camera work.
When I get the controller, I've ordered the controller, but everything's on back order at the moment, so I'm going to wait for another 2-3 weeks to be able to get it.
Do you need a license to be able to get the controller to connect to the actual camera?
You know what? If I do, I'll be very upset. You know what I mean? But yes, it has to have the right firmware to be able to contact to it.
So when you said about 30 earlier on, that's the cost of the unit itself, not including all the accessories.
No. So the unit itself is just over 20,000 AUD, so Australian dollars, and then we're talking about $2,500 for the controller. You got $1,600 for the license. $2,500 per lens, which is 5 of them.
You could be looking at almost $50,000 to get this.
Close to 40 to 50 grand, yeah.
If you're getting
with
the full kit.
Everything.
And the licenses and everything.
Licenses. And not mentioning as well, so what I also purchased was a power station. So when I'm flying this, I can charge batteries on go. You know what I mean? So this power station, it's a power bank.
I was going to say, what's wrong with just plugging into a power bank? What's wrong with that?
When you're in the field in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean?
Like, just carry those little USB port things, the little battery for charging your phone.
So you need 240 volts, you know what I mean, to be able to charge those batteries. And on the charger itself, you do have like a fast charge and slow charge and trickle charge and whatever.
So is that a big battery for charging smaller batteries on? So,
So it's a power bank, but it's called a power station.
So in other words, it's like
solar blankets,
3 car batteries stuck together on it.
Well, yeah, it's a lithium-ion batteries that are it's 1800 watt inverter in it, and you can essentially set up the solar blanket and then get solar input and then keep on charging the batteries while you're charging the drone batteries. You know what I mean? So that cost me another sort of $20,000. You know what I mean?
Seriously?
Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just shocked.
Yeah. And I was as well, because you kind of go.
You could buy a house for this price.
Yeah.
Just don't tell your wife.
No,
do not tell your wife.
Anything. Yeah.
I'm sitting here struggling to get $500 out of my wife for a new RC car. Trying to justify it.
Yeah, but
and then I hear this, and it's just like.
Look, like I said, I've been saving for this for a while, right? Since it came out, I was like, I'm going to buy this freaking drone. If it kills me, I'm going to buy it. You know what I mean? I purchased it, and I loved it. Yeah.
Now it's killing you because
like I said, I understand if a big production company purchases and they've got tons of clients that this can be used on. For someone like myself, which I've got few clients that are steady clients, and then I mean, essentially this will pay itself off. I have a problem with. I think it will. You know what I mean? Saying that, it will take me a little bit longer than expected, I think. You know what I mean?
You know what? I couldn't pay this off if my life depended on it, because the type of stuff I do would, you know.
Well, look, you know, like I said, the licensing is a big thing as well. And then the licensing that I have, I've spent between $8,000 to $10,000 on the licensing to
when you say
accredited.
So that's accreditation. So it's not nothing to do with the actual drone itself.
No, accreditation to be able to be safe in the sky with this thing.
Marty, you know, there's cheaper ways of doing this.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, I wanted to do an episode on this because in the past we've done an episode with Joel. He's got one of those things, and I was so envious. You know what I mean? I was just like, I really want one as well. And everyone's just talking about the image quality on it, but they don't talk about these hidden costs of purchasing and DJI Inspire 3. You know what I mean? And I'm guessing, you know, with all these tariffs that are happening currently with, you know, China and US and whatever else, I would not be surprised if these prices just go through the roof again. You know what I mean?
It won't. I don't think it'll change very much here in Australia. But if you're American and you're trying, that'll be a different story altogether.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. You know, so. It's amazing in drone, and I mean, I love flying it. Like, the other day I was flying this, and then switched back to my Mavic 3, and I was like, what the hell is this rubbish? And I mean, I'm flying. I mean, this thing, you know, like Inspire 3 is like, whoa,
it's like you're
on the highest high. Yeah,
it's like driving around on a three-wheel scooter and then suddenly buying a Mack truck.
Yeah, simple.
And look, if you want to recuperate something in money, you could probably sell it as a double for some Star Wars movies and stuff. You know, have in the
probably
background.
could. Yeah,
it is crazy impressive. I have to say it changed my mind on drones, but cost wise, I could never justify this. But then again, we do very different things. I'm not a drone person. I don't do drone filming.
And you know what? Like, I'm trying to steer my business towards that sort of drone flying, where, you know, I'm kind of, as much as my bread and butter is shooting and editing, I'm trying to get away from that editing component and give that footage to a production house that can edit everything themselves. And
well, they're going to have a big computer to be able to shoot to edit 8K video.
Look, you know what? The Mac that I got, the M2, it handles it quite well without any proxies.
Yeah, but we're talking about just the raw footage. We're not talking about editing and cutting and splicing together and stuff. That's when
I haven't really sort of tried it.
Mine was working fine until I tried to actually do some cutting, and as soon as I did that, really? all the lights in the house went down, and I heard the computer go
grinding halt. I haven't done a lot of cuts and transitions and whatever else on this, so maybe I don't know. It's time will tell, put it that way. I'm happy to do another episode to give you an idea, but yeah, it's this videography component and drones it's a lot of money. So a lot of people need to be aware that yes, as much as you can afford it, sometimes there is more costs to it as you think.
Yeah, I can't afford a normal drone, let alone one of these. So I'm going to stay very clear. And if you ever turn around to me and say, "Hey, would you like to try and fly this?" I'd say, "No, I can't." Yeah. Purely because if anything went wrong, I couldn't afford to get it repaired. But yeah, no, look, it is an amazing unit. A bit freakish. I do have one question which kind of relates to it, but doesn't at the same time. You recently posted a picture on, I believe it was Instagram, thermal imaging of your arms.
Oh, I did too, yeah.
Did you use that to do it?
No, this doesn't have a thermal image at all.
I thought it had thermal.
No, my M30T does.
Sorry, my apologies. Were you using the other one?
No, I've got another camera that does thermal imaging on my phone.
So there was a picture on Instagram where you had been bitten by a bee.
Yeah, because I do have a few beehives, and I was looking after them, and they stung me through the suit, and then I took a photo of it, a thermal image photo.
I thought you might have had your drone out and you took it for your drone. I thought, look at him go. But anyway.
I wish. I mean, you know, the M30T is fantastic. I should probably do a podcast episode on this as well. But so that's the thing with the drones. It's almost like you can't just buy one unit that does all you have to buy different unit drones to be able, different type of drones to be able to get, so I've got the FPV drones, which are close proximity with propeller guards and everything else. Then you've got you got the Mini 3, which is under 250 grams. It does amazing things, and I've done some amazing work with it. Then you've got the Mavic 3s. Still waiting for the Mavic 4 to come out at this stage. It's announced in mid-May, I think it is, or something like that, which who knows. But then you got the Mavic 3, then you've got you're moving up to the next one, to M30T, so which is the Matrice thermal, and that does crazy zoom. That does like optical 30 times zoom, which I've done inspections for it, like for telco towers, where we found birds nests inside the tower that will affect the signal of the 4 and 5G towers.
I think you actually showed me that photo.
Yeah, I did.
I was looking at this picture going, what the hell am I looking at?
And you know what, like with a normal, with a normal drone, you won't be able to see it. But with that, with the Matrice, you'll be able to, see it. Then the Matrice is used also for the thermal vision, so search and rescue. So if you're looking for, I guess, lost hikers or lost animals or whatever else, you'll be able to see the body heat from, 50, 60 meters away to be able to pinpoint where that person or that animal is. And then I also do solar panel inspections as well. So we see which solar cells are dead in certain panels. So then people can go and change those solar panels to be able to get maximum what's it called, obviously power out of a solar panel, for instance. You know what I mean? So, and then you got the Inspire 3, which is all cinematic, which is 50 odd, I don't know, pixels, I can't remember but like it's really high resolution camera on it in a cinematic kind of view, so resolution from a image quality, and then you can combine that with the amazing lenses that they have, so you can do tracking through forests and tracking of cars and whatever else too. So unfortunately you have to buy different types of drones to be able to get the image or the use out of it that you need,
And then within those drones, you've got to buy licenses and accessories, and that was actually something I didn't expect. So
I knew about it, but I thought, you know what, I'm happy just to shoot it in a D-Log rather than have a full RAW, and I was hoping to get the full 8K in 75 frames per second without the license. But no, you have to purchase it. So it is what it is. I mean, like I said, if you can afford this drone, you should be able to afford another $5,000+, if not more, to be able to buy all the extras too. You know what I mean?
Does the suitcase come with it, or do you have to buy that as well?
No, that comes with it. It's good. So, yeah, it's very heavy though. Once everything is in it, like I was saying, it's about 10+ kilos. So for me to carry it down the stairs, it's like struggle down.
Drag it across an oval, looking like a homeless person.
Yeah, that's right.
So next time you see someone dragging a suitcase across an oval,
it'll probably be Marty. No, I've got to catch up with Joel again, and then try to obviously have a bit of a we'll take a couple of images of both Inspires, and it's fantastic. I love it. I love flying it. It's just, there's a big price tag that comes with it, unfortunately.
Most definitely.
Yeah. All right. If there's any questions, guys, just let me know, I guess. Thanks, Evan, for listening to my whinging about Inspire and loving Inspire.
I have to say, after hearing the additional cost, I'm not so inspired anymore. But it is an amazing unit. Congratulations on the
last Inspire 2, they had it for over 7 years, as in production, or not in production, in operation, should I say. You know what I mean? So this is only about 1.5 years, less than 2 years now, since they produced this Inspire 3. So therefore, in theory, I should still get another good 4 to 5 years out of it at least. You know what I mean?
Well, you'd hope so at that price.
Well, yeah, you think so. Yeah, I need to be able to, and I mean, look, anything that you purchase for a business purpose, it's got to pay itself off. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I mean, look, there's some things that make more money than others, and there's some things that you want to have than others. Like for instance, give you an example. Like I bought the 360 camera, for instance. That was like $1,500, and I've done $20,000 jobs with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where you kind of go, You got to have it to be able to get into that space. Put it that way.
No,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking my Mini 3 has probably paid itself off by now.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I only paid $600 for it, but
That's really cheap.
yeah. That was a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But look, it's if you're into drones, I think this is the bee's knees to be able to, And I mean, I've got my FPV drones, and I mean, the FPV drone was $1,000, and it's paid itself off 30 times over. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. You have to have it to be able to be in the space that you want to be in. I mean, people, these drones being used for cinema grade camera, cinema grade. They're comparing this to Ronin 4D, to Blackmagic's. They're comparing this quality of this video to cinema. This is a cinema drone.
Are you trying to sell this to me now?
No,
because you keep using the word cinema. Because that's my forte.
Yeah. But look, I know a couple of guys that have used this in a full movie productions, and I'm trying to hang with these people. So be cool kid as they are.
So we're going to see you flying this across the Demons of the Dirt in a few months' time.
Across where?
Crusty Demons of the
Crusty Demons. Yeah. I'm hoping to. We'll see. So I'm still in negotiation to be able to get a permission to fly in the arena for that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a big unit, man. So that's what I mean.
There's going to be an additional cost on that one too, right?
Possibly. Yeah. Well, definitely insurance. I have to make the insurance higher on this when I'm flying next to them. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, all the best with that.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. If you got any questions or queries, give us a yell. Give me a yell. You know my details.
Or if you want to see Marty just dragging a suitcase around an oval, feel free to give us a call. We'll organise that too.
Yeah, we'll take a photo of the suitcase. We might blur out certain parts, but All right, cheers, man.
Take care. Thanks for everything, Marty. Thanks for the rundown.
All right, have a good one, man. Thanks.
Okay, bye.